Hello everybody, welcome back to my final video of the 2025 election cycle. Before we get into it, make sure to like and subscribe with notifications on. And once again, let's get into it. So this is my final video of the 2025 election cycle. This is my 2025 final election predictions in New Jersey, Virginia, California, Pennsylvania, and New York City. So make sure to once again, like the video, and let's get into it. So, we're going to start off with the New York City mayoral race. I already did separate videos on my final predictions for New Jersey, Virginia, California, and New York City. But this is going to be like a final compilation and updated version. So, we're going to start with New York City. Obviously, I'm going to be filling in these 5 boroughs and my final percentage predictions. But first, let's take a look at the polling. So you see here, Zohran Mamdani currently sits at 44.4%. I want to talk about a new poll from Atlas. They polled Atlas Intel. Atlas Intel polled New York City a couple days ago, and they showed a crazy thin margin of Mamdani up by only 6.6%. This is much lower than the double-digit leads we've seen so far. And today, November 2nd, 2025, when I'm recording this, they did another poll, and I thought it was going to be like a redemption poll. So when Mamdani won by more, they wouldn't like lose their amazing status as the best pollster from 2024. But they showed an even closer margin. Zohran Mamdani had only 4.5%, a 2.1% decrease from the last poll. You see here, Curtis Sliwa had the largest change. He decreased 8.6% from the last poll, 24.1 to 15.5. Andrew Cuomo jumped 5.4%, 34 to 39.4. Mamdani jumped 3.3%, 40.6 to 43.9. So, I mean, with these new Atlas Intel polls, you saw, like, after Eric Adams dropped out, like, a week later, you saw a massive boost for Cuomo on October 7th. 26.6 to 31%. It was a 18% gap before. After, it was only a 15% gap. But now, we're seeing, kind of recently, we saw a gap of, I believe, is at 14.9%. And now it is only a 10.7% gap. And there's a chance that if we get if there was like another poll from Atlas Intel that showed a close margin like this, you would have had a single-digit margin for Zohran Mamdani in New York City. See, this is why I don't believe that Zohran Mamdani will win by like 25%, okay? I don't think he's going to win like 55 or more percent. It's possible he reaches 50%, but even that is kind of stretching it at this point. I believe Mamdani is going to overperform some polling. I think Cuomo does underperform this a bit. Sliwa does a bit better than what he's at right now. But, yeah, I mean, if you're saying that Zohran Mamdani is going to win by 30%, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, polling is showing Mamdani winning by double digits in most polls. Like, they keep talking about the massive polling miss in the primary, but I mean that was a primary. Primaries are hard to poll. I don't think there's going to be like a 20 percentage point miss in the general like there was in the primary. So I think Zohran Mamdani is still going to win, obviously, but not by 30% like some people are saying. So right now it does show a 10.7% lead on DHQ's aggregate. You see here. Obviously, if we look at polling, let's look at some of the other aggregates. DDHQ actually has the smallest margin here, but Real Clear Politics is a 14.3% margin, and Race to the White House is 16.2% margin, and the average between all three of those is a 13.7 win for Zohran Mamdani. I think that's around my sweet spot. I think that's what my prediction is going to be around. And let's do my final predictions. And then we'll do the percentage and then the boroughs. So I think Mamdani will get 46.2% in the general election. Andrew Cuomo will get around 3.7%. And then Curtis Sliwa is going to get what? How much is that? He's going to get 18.5% of the vote. So let's fill in these boroughs here. Here's a little quick insight into these boroughs. Let's go to the Democratic primary for a sec. You see the New York City Democratic primary. Andrew Cuomo won the Bronx by double digits and won Staten Island by single digits. Zohran Mamdani won Queens and Manhattan by single digits. Manhattan was only 6 points, and he won Brooklyn by massive double digits. He won it by 18%, just like how Andrew Cuomo won the Bronx by 18%. So, honestly, some polling is showing Mamdani just slightly winning the Bronx. I think Cuomo's going to carry the Bronx by 10%. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident in the Bronx. I think black voters are going to still stretch out for Andrew Cuomo. Going to be much thinner than the primary, though. I also believe Mamdani will easily win Brooklyn. Brooklyn is Mamdani's best borough, also the largest borough in New York City, voted for Mamdani by a whopping 18%. But yeah, Brooklyn, come on, it's going to be an easy win for Zohran Mamdani. I think he's going to win it by 16%, not as much as a primary, but he will still win it by safe double digits. Now let's go to Queens. I think Zohran Mamdani will still win by 11%, double digits, but that is a likely margin. In Manhattan, he'll also win by a likely margin, but by single digits, he will win it by 7%. And for Staten Island, the only Republican borough in New York City, which Curtis Sliwa did win in 2021. You see here, in 2021, Curtis Sliwa did win Staten Island by, I believe, double digits. So I think it's actually going to go to Andrew Cuomo. Polling does show a win for Andrew Cuomo in Staten Island, beating the Republican here, which is interesting. It really just showed the split ticket voting for Republicans, kind of abandoning and ditching Curtis Sliwa to actually try and defeat Zohran Mamdani instead of just voting for Curtis Sliwa. So this is my final prediction for New York City, right? These are the 5 borough predictions. And Zohran Mamdani beats Andrew Cuomo by 12.5%. He gets 46.2% of the vote. Andrew Cuomo gets 33.7%, and Curtis Sliwa gets 18.5%. So now let's move over to, let's start off with a minor race here. Let's go to California. California's Proposition 50. So right now it is very favored to pass. California Proposition 50. Obviously, this will kind of remove the Independent Redistricting Commission in California. California is one of the few states to have an independent commission. It would kind of remove the independent commission for 4 years until the 2030 elections, because redistricting usually happens every 10 years, 2020, 2030, 2040. So it will be restored for the 2030 redistricting cycle. But for now, it will be removed, and that would allow and grant the power to the California State Legislature to redraw the maps and basically help Democrats gain 5 seats in the state of California, and it's responding to the 5 Republican seats that were gained in Texas. So obviously it is gerrymandering, but it's the state of California. Come on, it's not going to be that close. Every single poll has basically showed massive double-digit wins for yes on Prop 50. Also, Republicans have kind of given up on advertising against Prop 50, and Democrats have picked up their spending. They've been doing a lot of ads with more national figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I believe Californian figures, Gavin Newsom, Alex Padilla, some representatives as well in ads. So you see here on DDHQ, the average is 19.5% for yes, 57 to 37.5. And you look at these polls, UC Berkeley plus 22, plus 21, plus 20, plus 20, plus 24. So you're kind of seeing close to 20% wins for yes on Prop 50. So right now, I think yes will pass by safe safe margins. Not by 20%. I think it's going to pass by 17.8%. So I believe California's Prop 50 will pass by 17.8%. Guys, that is my final prediction for California's Proposition 50 on the ballot in 2025. I do want to take a look at the actual map here. You see that California's first, like, these are the 5 seats that are going to be targeted that are currently held by Republicans. The first district, which is held by Doug LaMalfa, I'm pretty sure this one voted for LaMalfa by 30% in 2024. California's third congressional district, held by Kevin Kiley. This one's a bit closer. Kiley only won it by 10% in 2024. California's 22nd. This is a somewhat of a swing district. David Valadao in the Valley. Valadao only won it by 6%, around 6% in 2024. Ken Calvert's district, California's 41st. This one's an extremely swing district. He almost lost it in 2024. He only won it by 3 or something percent in 2024. Very close race in California's 41st. But Ken Calvert will be put into a safe Democratic district with this new map. And the final seat being targeted is California's 48th, held by Darrell Issa. This one's stationed on the southern border of California and Baja California in Mexico. So that district would also be pretty Democrat. But Issa, Valadao, and Kiley, their new districts will not be that Democrat. And it's possible in a big red wave that they somehow hold on, but a red wave is not looking likely in 2026. So, but like in the future and maybe in 2028, if there's somehow a red wave, I don't think there is, or 2030 potentially with a Democratic president, it is possible that Issa, Valadao, and Kiley's seats flip back to red in a red wave, in a very harsh red wave. The map would also give some swing seats to Democrats some breathing room, make their seats a bit more Democrat. Josh Harder's district increase the Democratic voter registration by 13.1%. Adam Gray's would increase by the Republican advantage would decrease by 5.5%. Yeah, Republican voter registration actually leads in his district, California's 13th. He flipped this from John Duarte in 2024. So it would effectively eliminate the Republican advantage in voter registration in California's 13th. Definitely give Adam Gray a very big advantage in his upcoming races. California's 21st with Jim Costa, Democratic registration would increase by 2.2. 27th with George G. Whitesides would increase by 5.5%. Derek Tran, who flipped this one from Michelle Steele in the 45th district, would increase between 1.5 and 4%. California's 47th, Dave Min, he replaced Katie Porter, I think. He will expand the Democratic voter registration here will expand between 4 and 10%. And Mike Levin in California's 49th will increase Democratic voter registration by 4%. And obviously, to give these swing seat Democrats more breathing room, they would have to take Democrats from some of the more safe Democratic districts. These ones were like won by 30% in 2024 by Democrats. Jared Huffman, California's 2nd. Mike Thompson's California's 4th. Doris Matsui in California's 7th. John Garamendi in California's 8th. Robert Garcia in the 42nd. And Scott Peters in the 50th. And every single other district would change by 2% or less. It would also help Republican swing seat Representative Young Kim in the 40th district. She only won by, I believe, 6 or 8% in 2024. Her Republican advantage will increase by 10%. They were kind of deciding between to eliminate Young Kim or Ken Calvert, and I guess they decided on Ken Calvert because whoever they decided on would kind of be destroyed in their general election. So I guess they just went with the more moderate, maybe Young Kim. She's a bit more moderate than Ken Calvert, so they spared Young Kim, but they kind of destroyed Ken Calvert. So that's kind of Prop 50 for you, but let's get back to the actual predictions. Now let's go to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, you have 3 Supreme Court justices, all liberals aligning and appointed by Democrats. And they are up for retention. So basically, what that means is that do you want them to be retained? That will give them an extra term as justice. A term is going to be an extra 10 years on the Supreme Court of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So obviously, Republicans are kind of against that, but I think the page got updated. It didn't look like this before, but the three justices who are up are Christine Donahue, Kevin Doherty, and I believe David Wetsch. So I think Doherty is going to be I think Doherty is going to be the strongest. I think all three of them are going to be retained because Pennsylvania was only won by Donald Trump by 3%. And what we've seen so far, for example, in Wisconsin, which was also a swing state in 2024 where Donald Trump won, in that Supreme Court election that happened in April, Democrats, the liberal aligning justice, overperformed by so much. You see here, let's go here, Wisconsin Supreme Court election. You see here, the liberal aligning justice Susan Crawford beat the more conservative aligning justice justice candidate by by double digits. So obviously, you've seen in the Supreme Court race that happened in another swing state, the liberals did amazing. So I think all three will be retained, maybe not by double digits. I think I am narrowing the margins. I think Doherty will be retained by 9%. Wetsch will be retained by 7%, and Donahue will be retained by 6%. So that would be an average of around 7.3%, 7.3% on average to be retained. So that would be a likely margin, 7.3% for the averages of all three justices. They will all be retained by an on average 7.3%. So that is my prediction for Pennsylvania. Now let's move to New Jersey. Let's go to the 2025 New Jersey governor race. Actually, no, we'll go to Virginia first because it's a little less tense. 2025 Virginia governor race. You have former Representative Abigail Spanberger going up against Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle-Sears. Winsome Earle-Sears, she has not run a stellar campaign, to say the least. Let's go to polling here. You see here in Virginia, Abigail Spanberger has actually expanded her margin in the last couple of days. She now leads on average by 10.2%. That is 9.2%. She's approaching a double-digit margin, but that won't happen because we don't have many polls left. Yeah, you see this insider advantage poll, a 10.2% win for Abigail Spanberger. If we look back at 2021, let's first look at this right now. Actually, no, we'll look at 2021 first. The Republican Glenn Youngkin beat Democratic former Governor Terry McAuliffe by around 1.9%. In polling, it showed, on average, before Election Day, a win for Youngkin, actually, by 1.4%. So, it actually I don't think overestimated. Underestimated Youngkin by 0.5%. So, polls were actually pretty spot on in the 2021 election, right? So, I mean, yeah, it's on an advantage of 2%. I think it's insider advantage in the traffic group. Those were pretty accurate pollsters in 2021. So there's not much of a polling miss, but if you really do want to shift the if you really do want to shift the polling right now, to the right by 0.5%, you would still have Spanberger winning by 9.3. Let's look at the aggregates for each site right now. Spanberger plus 9.2 on DVHQ, 10.7 on 50+1, a 9.7 on Race to the White House, 10.2 on Real Clear Polling, and 9.2 on VoteHub. So on average, it's a 9.8% win for Spanberger. So, I mean, I don't think there's going to be a 10% polling miss in Virginia. And I really don't think Republican Winsome Earle-Sears is going to win. And it's going to be a pretty safe race at this point for Abigail Spanberger. So right now, I have the governor race in Virginia going to Abigail Spanberger by a likely margin. I believe she'll win by 8.4%. Now let's go to the lieutenant governor election in the state of Virginia. So that we have state senator, Democratic candidate Ghazala Hashmi going up against radio host John Reed, who has never held political office before. And this race has actually been really close for some odd reason. On average, it's only a 4.4% lead for Ghazala Hashmi, and you have had polls. Let's go here. You have had polls that have shown Reed leading. You had a poll from Trafalgar Group showing Hashmi only up by 1.6, another one up by 2, up by 2, up by 2, and another one with the John Reed up by 0.2%. Alice Intel for some reason showed Ghazala Hashmi leading by more than most other polls, 6.1%, which is kind of interesting, but Hashmi actually has expanded her lead in the last couple of days, but John Reed has some momentum going there. He did a little stunt, and I'll keep talking about this in these videos. He did a little stunt where he kept talking about how Hashmi kept rejecting his offer to a debate. So John Reed did a stunt where he debated an AI version of Ghazala Hashmi, and it was kind of funny. He was trying to recreate the Jon Ossoff thing from 2020, I think. So it obviously very, very interesting stuff. Lieutenant Governor, I don't think many people are watching this one in 2025, but this one's going to be an interesting one to watch if John Reed somehow wins. I mean, it's possible he defeats a 4.4% polling error. So, yeah, I have this one still going to Hashmi, obviously. I think she will win by 3.7% at this time, a lean Democratic margin. So now let's go to the final race in Virginia. That is the Virginia Attorney General election. So, you see here that Republicans have nominated this incumbent Attorney General Jason Miyares, who's going up against Jay Jones. Attorney Generals can run for another term. I think they can run for 3 terms or more in Virginia, but governors and lieutenant governors cannot. But Miyares, he is going up against Jay Jones. Jay Jones has faced a lot of scandal. I mean, it was early October where his messages got leaked, where he said that he wanted cops to die. He wanted Todd Gilbert, the former Speaker of the Virginia House of Delegates, to die, who was a Republican. He wanted Todd Gilbert's children to die in Todd Gilbert's wife's arms. So Jay Jones' messages were very, obviously catastrophic to his campaign. I mean, he lost. He only won a Democratic-leaning poll right after by 1%, and then since then, every single poll has showed either a tied race or Miyares being re-elected. Just disregard State Navigate. State Navigate it's a very Democratic-leaning pollster. They overestimated Kamala Harris in Virginia by 10% in 2024. I would not trust State Navigate's polling, but in the last couple of days, in the last 3 polls, you have not seen a single win for Jason Miyares, and Miyares' odds on betting has significantly dropped. It seems like Jones' scandal may have just cleared up just in time for Election Day. For Emerson College, which is a very good pollster, Jones is up by 2. The Trafalgar Group, a Republican-leaning pollster, showed a tied race. I think Miyares actually won in the decimals by like 0.2. Insider Advantage, a Republican-leaning pollster, Miyares was down by 2% against Jay Jones. So on DHQ, you see here, Jones has just surged in the last couple of days. He is only 2.4% behind, 1.9% behind Miyares compared to October 27th, where he was 4.1% behind Miyares. You see here these 2 polls, and the Trafalgar the Trafalgar one did have Miyares up by decimal 0.8%. I still think Miyares is the favorite, but these last couple of polls from Emerson and Insider Advantage that's not good news for Jason Miyares. So honestly, my final prediction. Actually, no. Let's compare the 2021 polling. 2021, they don't have a final thing, but let's compare the final Trafalgar. Actually, no. Yeah, they don't have a aggregate, so we're just going to compare, but. In 2021, Miyares actually won by the least of the candidates in the main three races in Virginia: governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. Sears won by almost 2%, I think, and Youngkin won by like over 2%. Yeah, no, also almost like 2%. Mears only won by around 0.8% against incumbent Democrat Mark Herring. He wasn't incumbent, so there's that. I think Mears is the favorite, but obviously it is going to be a tight race to watch. I think he's going to win by lean Republican. I think he's going to win by 2.5%. So that is my prediction for Attorney General. I'm going to switch it back to the likely Democrat for governor. But now let's move on to our final race. That is for New Jersey governor. And you have Democratic representative from New Jersey's 7th. New Jersey's 11th, Mikey Sherrill, going up against Jack Ciattarelli. Jack Ciattarelli was a candidate for this seat in 2021, who went up against Democratic candidate and incumbent Democratic governor Phil Murphy. He lost by only 3.22% with insignificant funding. Mikey Sherrill selected Dale Caldwell as her lieutenant governor running mate, and Jack Ciattarelli selected sheriff from Morris County, one of the more populous counties in the state, with I think over 500,000 people. Jim Gannon, the sheriff of that county, and honestly, not that bad of a pick. And yeah, I think Morris County is, I think probably top 10 largest counties in the state of New Jersey. But, I mean, in polling, you have seen a tighter race than expected, maybe. But you have, like, polls showing a very tight race, but you also have polls showing, like, a 7% win for Mikey Sherrill. That's kind of what's, kind of bad for Jack Ciattarelli. Jack Ciattarelli has never surpassed 50% in a single poll. And that's what's really bad. And he's only he's only gotten like 49% in, one poll. So, that was with Atlas Intel. Yeah, Atlas Intel actually showed this race very close. I believe a 0.9% win for Mikey Sherrill, and it is possible the most accurate pollster from 2024 misses by less than 1%. Don't get me wrong, Ciattarelli definitely has an open path to victory, but I'm not sure if it's really that open anymore. On average, on DHQ, Sherrill is up by 4.9%. You look at some of the other ones, 50 plus 1, Sherrill's up by 5.7, Race to the White House, Sherrill's up by 4.8, Real Clear Politics, Sherrill is up by 3.3, and VoteHub has her up by 5.3. The average between all 5 of these have her up by 4.8. So obviously, Mikey Sherrill is going to be the favorite in this race, but there was somewhat of a split primary between her, she's a pretty moderate candidate, and 2 progressive mayors. You saw here that Mikey Sherrill only beat her opponents by around 14%, but Barack and Stephen Fulop, they were both very progressive mayors. If one of them had dropped out and endorsed the other, they would have had more votes than Mikey Sherrill if they combined. So it was a very, very split primary. Sherrill only barely got a third of the votes, so that might be some trouble for her if she can't unite the more leftist wing of the New Jersey Democrats. So, honestly, I think Ciattarelli definitely has a path, but I am going to put Mikey Sherrill as just a slight favorite. I believe she'll win by 0.6% on election night. So, these are my final predictions. So, here is New York City. These are my borough predictions. These are my percentage predictions. Mamdani wins by 12.5%. For California, what did I say? A 17%, 18% win for yes. And for Pennsylvania, I have, on average, all 3 justices getting retained on average by around 7%. New Jersey, I have Mikey Sherrill being elected as the next governor of the state by 0.6%. For Virginia, I have Abigail Spanberger winning the governor's seat by, I think, 8.2 or 8.4%. Lieutenant Governor Ghazal Hashmi winning by 3.5%, I believe. Somewhere in there. And for Attorney General, I have Jason Miyares being reelected by 2.5%, I think. So this is my governor prediction for Virginia. That's my lieutenant governor prediction, and this is my attorney general prediction. So yeah, that's gonna be it for the video. Please subscribe, like. Once again, go to my live streams. And for my scheduled one for tonight, click the like button and click notify me, so you are going to be there for tonight. It's going to be a very fun night, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Make sure to like this video once again, and I'll see you next time, hopefully tonight. Goodbye.